Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're wading into a whole stack of recent articles, reports, all about the crypto market. These came from contributors over on CoinMarketCap.
That's right. And it's a real mix, isn't it? We've got everything from, big predictions, analyst takes, to where the big money's moving,
Yeah.
and even down to specific coins, let's say, pretty unique launches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our goal here, our mission for this deep dive is basically to sift through all this stuff, pull out the really interesting bits, the insights, and try to make sense of what this snapshot of the market might actually mean for you.
Yeah, trying to cut through some of the noise.
So we've got these massive price predictions. We're looking at where investment funds are actually going, the ups and downs of altcoins, new projects popping up.
And even how things like, global tensions can make waves in crypto. It's quite the landscape.
Okay, let's dive in. Where should we start? Maybe with the really big numbers. There's that piece about Fundstrat's Tom Lee.
Ah, yes, the Tom Lee prediction. That one definitely catches the eye.
It does.
The piece we saw, I think it was from CoinDo.com, mentioned he's suggesting Bitcoin could potentially hit, oh, wait for it, $3 million.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. $3 million. Well, that's a headline grabber for sure. Is there any time frame attached to that? Or is it more of a theoretical maximum?
It's presented as a very long-term view, not next week, obviously.
Right.
It seems based on this idea of, exponential growth driven by things we often talk about, adoption, scarcity.
The halving cycles, all that.
Exactly. Plus maybe some big shifts in the macroeconomy that could theoretically make people reevaluate assets like Bitcoin compared to traditional stuff. It's definitely on the very bullish end of the spectrum for long-term outlooks.
Okay, so that's the super long view. But what about money moving now? Right now, we also saw a report about recent fund flows. Crypto Breaking News shared it using CoinShares data.
Yes, that's a good counterpoint. This report showed a pretty hefty surge in capital going into crypto funds just last week. About $286 million, if I remember correctly.
$286 million in 1 week. That's not small change.
Not at all. And the really interesting part, where most of it went, Ether actually topped the list.
Ether, ahead of Bitcoin.
Ahead of Bitcoin for that period, yeah.
Oh. Why do you think that is? Why would the bigger players, the fund money, lean into Ether more heavily right now? What's that signal?
Well, it could suggest a few things. Maybe it's a diversification play, right? Investors looking beyond just Bitcoin.
Spreading the risk, maybe.
Possibly. Or maybe it's related to Ether's specific role, DeFi, NFTs, perhaps anticipation around upgrades like the move to proof of stake, although that's done.
Yeah.
But ongoing developments.
Sure, the ecosystem.
Right. It indicates that even with all the market ups and downs, there's still serious and, importantly, diversifying capital actively moving into crypto assets. They're not just betting on one horse.
Okay, interesting. So zooming in a bit from those broad fund movements, what about individual coins? Especially ones maybe more popular with retail investors. We saw something from Coinpedia News about Shiba Inu, SHIB.
Yeah, the Esha piece paints a bit of a less rosy picture, at least for the short term. It mentioned the price being kind of stuck, maybe showing an oversold status.
Oversold, meaning it's dropped a lot and might be due for a bounce, or just stuck.
More like stuck with weak momentum, according to the article. It mentioned increasing sell-offs, maybe some investors moving on. Basically, confidence seems a bit shaky among some holders right now.
And did the source also mention something about whales, the big holders kind of shifting focus, looking elsewhere as SHIB cools off?
Exactly. It specifically mentioned Unilabs as something catching their eye, these SHIB whales. And it even threw out a figure, something like whales placing bets around $560,000 on these other maybe more viral altcoins.
$560.
Right,
So
okay.
even as one popular coin fades a bit, that capital, especially the speculative whale money, is instantly looking for the next thing.
That's the game, especially in that sort of meme coin or high speculation corner of the market. It's all about chasing momentum and sentiment. That $500,000 figure just shows there's real money constantly scanning for the next pop.
Right. Speaking of the next thing, we also saw a couple of sources talking about newer projects getting some attention. One was called Crubetics from Koino Media.
Yes, Crubetics. That article positioned it pretty boldly. I think it used the phrase top crypto presale.
Ambitious.
Very. What seemed to be the hook was its focus on tokenizing real-world assets, bringing physical stuff onto the blockchain.
RWA real-world assets. That's a big narrative.
It is. And the source claims some serious early traction, over $17.5 million raised in its presale already.
$17.5 million
Yeah.
in a presale before it's even fully launched. That's substantial. Why do you think that RWA theme is drawing so much capital right now? What's the appeal?
Well, the promise is huge, isn't it? Taking things like real estate or art or even commodities and making them tradable, divisible, accessible via blockchain,
I,
potentially unlocking trillions in currently illiquid value.
okay, so it's tapping into that potential bridge between TradFi and crypto.
Exactly. So seeing that kind of pre-sale figure suggests that early money is definitely interested in projects that have these sort of tangible, large-scale use cases, or at least projects that can generate significant hype around that potential early on.
Okay. And there was another one getting some buzz, Blockdag, mentioned in Crypto Newsland.
Right, Blockdag. That article framed it as maybe the next big break. It really highlighted its low price point at the time. I think it was 0.00 Lira Winking.
Wow, yeah, very low entry point.
And it kind of posed the question, is this the best crypto to buy now, linking its potential to just general rising optimism in the market.
So unlike Kubetics with its specific RWA focus and big pre-sale number, Blockdag sounds like it's being pitched more on the potential for massive percentage gains from a very low base, appealing to that hunt for the next 100x coin.
Precisely. It taps into that segment of the market always looking for those potentially undervalued early-stage projects that might explode if market conditions are right. It's another flavor of speculative interest, really.
Okay, now, just to show the sheer range of what's out there, we have to mention this one piece from coinlineup.com about a project called, well, FUC, the Coin.
Ah, yes. FUCK Coin, launched by someone called Moonshot on Solana, according to the article.
Right, and apparently it launched with an initial market cap of around $9.6 million.
Yeah, nearly $10 million.
Okay, let's just put the name aside for a second. A project like that, launching with a nearly $10 million market cap almost instantly, what does that even tell us about the market? Especially on a chain like Solana, known for these rapid-fire launches.
It really just throws the wilder side of crypto into sharp relief, doesn't it?
It really does.
It shows how incredibly low the barrier to entry can be for launching a token, and maybe more surprisingly, how much liquidity is just sloshing around, ready to jump into almost anything that grabs attention, no matter how speculative or provocatively named.
It's such a stark contrast to talking about RWA tokenization or multi-million-dollar Bitcoin models, isn't it?
Completely. It just proves the market has room for everything from potentially revolutionary tech to, well, pure meme-driven speculation. It's all happening at once.
Absolutely. Okay, one last angle before we wrap up. This market doesn't exist in a total bubble, right? We saw a piece from BitcoinInfoNews.com about geopolitical stuff affecting crypto.
Yeah, that's important context. The report mentioned China issuing some kind of warning related to U.S. tensions,
Okay.
and it explicitly stated that the crypto market reacted to this news.
Interesting. Even if the source didn't detail the exact reaction, the fact that tensions between major global powers can send ripples through the crypto market.
Right.
What does that really underscore, even with its whole decentralized ethos?
It just highlights that crypto, despite its unique nature, is increasingly plugged into the wider global financial and political system. It's not immune.
So it reacts to Fed announcements, and it reacts to geopolitical headlines, too.
Exactly. Just like traditional markets, it can get spooked by international tensions, regulatory crackdowns, or big shifts in global power dynamics. It adds another layer you have to consider when trying to understand price movements. It's not just about crypto-specific factors anymore.
Okay, wow. We've definitely covered a lot of ground here, pulls from quite a diverse stack of sources.
We really have. We went from, these huge, almost unbelievable long-term price targets for Bitcoin.
The $3 million call.
Right. Then we saw where actual fun money is flowing right now, with Ether surprisingly taking the lead recently. We looked at the cooling sentiment around a popular altcoin like SUI.
And the whale money moving on.
Yeah, and where that money might be going chasing new opportunities in emerging projects, whether it's something like Kubetics with its RWA angle and big pre-sale.
Or Blockdag,
Yeah.
pitched on its low price and high potential.
Exactly. And then we saw the other extreme with launches like FUC Coin, showing that pure speculative frenzy is still alive and well.
Can't forget that one.
And finally, remembering that external things, like geopolitical tensions, can actually impact this whole ecosystem.
So when you put all those pieces together, what's the big picture? What does all this mean?
I think it just powerfully shows how incredibly dynamic and, frankly, multifaceted the crypto space is. It's almost dizzying. You've got serious long-term financial modeling happening side by side with hundreds of millions pouring into established players like Ether based on current sentiment or tech narratives.
Right.
You see capital abandoning one trend while aggressively chasing the next, whether that's based on a solid-sounding use case like RWA or just pure meme energy. And all of this is playing out against a backdrop of global events that can influence the market direction.
Hmm.
It really underscores the sheer range of activity, the different investor motivations, and all the complex influences acting on the market at the same time.
Okay, that's a great synthesis. So think about everything we've touched on today, these different snapshots from all the sources, the huge predictions, the fund flows, the individual coin stories like SHI, the emerging projects, those market extremes, even the geopolitical factors. If you had to pick one, what single piece of information stands out most to you as really telling about where the market is right now? And what does that tell you about where the most important action might be happening?